Hi, I'm Andrea and welcome to Productive C#. In this video, I'm going to talk about flags enum. You're probably already familiar with enums. Those are value types that help you to define short set of values. In this case, I have a console application with a simple option enum that allows me to specify an option that could be A, B, C, D, or none. If I run this program, you can see that I'm printing A. All right. So flags enum extend your ability in order to be able to choose a combination of choices instead of just a single option. So let's turn this option into a flags options type. So in order to turn a simple enum into a flag enum, you need to use the flags attribute. Okay? Then you usually use the plural to name enums, and this would still work. If I run it, I have a single selection. However, when you use flags enums, you usually should set the values of these enums using powers of 2s. Here should be 1, none is 0, B should be 2, C should be 4, and D should be 8. Because under the covers, an enum is represented as an integer value, a flags enum is still an integer value where each bit represents one option. So it's basically using bitwise operation in order to represent the different choices. In fact, if, for example, I want to represent both selecting A and, for example, C, I use the bitwise OR operator in order to do that. If I run this code, you can see I'm getting A, C. So options is a value that contains the options A and C at the same time. You can effectively choose multiple options. The way it works is effectively doing a bitwise operation, and the actual value the option represent is 1 or 2 or 4 in this case. That means it's going to be 5. In fact, I could print the actual value of this enums just to see that. Yep, so you see, 5 is basically printed. So under the covers is still an integer, but we use bitwise operators in order to be able to specify different values. All right, then now let me show you some operation that you can do with the enums. First of all, you could have, for very special combination of flags, you could have a specific entry. For example, let's say AB is very common. I could do AB here directly as A and B, so that I don't have to do like the OR operator. I can just use directly AB. So this can be done when you have an option that is very popular, and then you can immediately combine A and B at the same time. Okay, that's something you can do. Then how can I actually check, for example, if I have an options, how can I check that, for example, the flag A is set? Yeah, so you could use bitwise operators, right? So you could do options, and this is the bitwise AND with A. Then you know that the result of that will make all the other flags 0, except we'll have 1 if A is actually set. Then this means I need to compare the result of the operation to options A. And let me print something here like options A is enabled, for example. All right. If I run this, it's going to be true. If instead I change that to B, for example, it's going to be false. So this is really not very intuitive if you're not familiar with bitwise operations. Fortunately, the framework provides you a better alternative for that, and is basically using the hasFlag method. So you can do .hasFlag, and then you can say options.a, right? Something like that. So if options has the flag A, I print the result, otherwise not in this case. Let me add AB, and then option A is enabled, okay? So option has flags is a very convenient method to check if an option flag is set in a particular flags enum. Then there are a few other operations that are common even for single enums, for example, parsing and getting the values. So let me demonstrate that. So let me do a console write line. And let's say I want to parse an enum options, a flag. So using a string basically. Let's say I want to have A and D, something like that. But obviously I need to specify what type of enum I want. I want an options. So this is a generic method. So this method here, enum.parse, basically parse a string into an options type. And you can see here is basically printing A and D. So enum.parse is your friend when you want to parse strings into enums. If you want to do the opposite things, like given an options you want to turn into a string, you can just do toString, right? There is also a way, for example, using the enum class to get all the values of a particular flex enums. So you can do enum.getNames, for example. So getNames return the values as strings, or you could use getValues to return the values as individuals enums. So you can do getValues options to get all the distinct values. So I could do like a for each, for example, var option in getValues and then print it, for example, and I can just print it. So this enum getValues return all the distinct options present in the flex enum. So if I run it, you're gonna see a non-A, B, C, A, B, and D. Okay, so there are not many enums methods available, but you can write your own extension methods if you need to have additional functionality. So it's fairly easy. You can create an extension method as you would do for a normal class, and the extension method will be visible whenever you include your namespace. And that's pretty much it for flex enums. So you can use flag enums when you need to basically represent a choice from a combination of choices. And the only annoyance, I guess, is having to use multiple values, multiple of tools here for the values. Otherwise, they are not going to work because they are relying on bitwise operation in order to function. So most of the time, instead of using directly decimal numbers, people tend to use hexadecimal values here. But at the end of the day, it's very important that you make sure that you represent each choice as a multiple of 2. And then you can use methods such as flag to check if an enum has a flag in your logic. Thank you very much for listening.